Have the House of Empty Hands, The Journey That Went Within. This is a story about three Angelteers who reach the end of a long road, carrying everything they believe has helped them find their way. Maps, reminders, lessons, questions, and a well-loved book about miracles. Their 33rd miracle-minded adventure begins when they discover that the final step asks them to carry nothing at all, because the love they traveled so far to find was never outside them. The three Angelteers climbed the final hill just before sunrise. Spider Monkey carried a rolled-up map. Howler Monkey carried a lantern. Squirrel Monkey carried a well-worn book filled with miracle-minded lessons. At the top stood a small white house. No castle, no golden gate, no trumpets, just a wooden sign, "Welcome home." Spider looked around. This seems understated for episode 33. Howler nodded. I had expected at least one choir. Squirrel approached the door. Another sign hung beside it. Enter with holy empty hands. The three looked at one another. Spider held up his map. This? Squirrel nodded. Spider placed it on a bench. Howler lifted the lantern. This has been useful. Very, said Squirrel. Howler placed it beside the map. Then they looked at Squirrel. He hugged the book closer. Spider said nothing. Howler said nothing. Squirrel looked down at its worn cover. We learned so much from this. Spider smiled. We did. It helped us choose again. Yes. It reminded us what was true when we forgot. Howler nodded. Squirrel held it tighter. So why would I put it down? No answer came. A soft morning breeze moved across the hill. For a moment, Squirrel expected the fragrance of awareness, jasmine, orange blossom, pine, anything. But there was no fragrance. He smiled. Even that was not needed. He became still. What am I feeling? Afraid. Spider sat beside him. Of what? That if I put everything down, I'll lose what brought us here. Howler looked toward the little house. Maybe what brought us here isn't something we can lose. Squirrel closed his eyes. For 33 adventures they had asked, what is this for? What am I feeling? What thought am I believing? What would love see here? What is mine to do? What would be truly helpful to say? Where would you have me go in my mind? And again, the answer had not been more control. It had been listening, following, forgiving, extending, sometimes speaking, sometimes doing, sometimes simply being present. Squirrel opened his eyes. I think we went out into the world so we could learn to go within. Spider looked back down the hill. They had crossed bridges, markets, gardens, mountains, theaters, stations, workshops, villages, and roads. Howler laughed. That was a very long route to somewhere we were already standing. Squirrel looked at the book again. Then he understood. Putting it down did not mean rejecting it. The map had served. The lantern had served. The lessons had served. The book had served. But none of them were love. They had pointed. Squirrel gently placed the book beside the map and lantern. His hands were empty. So now what? Asked Spider. Squirrel smiled. I need do nothing. Howler blinked. We climbed an entire mountain for that? Spider whispered. Please don't tell the planning department. They laughed. Then Squirrel looked at his empty hands. I always thought I need do nothing meant sitting around waiting. But, asked Spider, maybe it means I don't have to manufacture what I am. He placed both hands over his heart. I don't have to make love happen. Howler slowly lowered his hands too. I don't have to make guidance happen. Spider added, I don't have to make myself worthy of what was already given. They stood quietly. No instruction came. No final secret appeared. Nothing told them what enlightenment was supposed to feel like. And for once, they did not go looking for an answer. Squirrel whispered, I feel the love of God within me now. The words were simple. Then even the words became unnecessary. They stood together in the morning light. After a while, Spider said, I have noticed something disturbing. Howler looked concerned. What? We never actually became angels. Howler stared at his wings. These are extremely convincing. Squirrel laughed. Maybe Angelteer was never something we became. What was it? Asked Spider, a way of listening. Howler thought about that. So when we were Monkey-tears, we were learning to recognize monkey-minded thinking. Squirrel nodded. And when we became Angelteers, we practiced letting miracle-mindedness lead. Spider grinned. The monkey is still here. Howler pointed toward himself, obviously. He just doesn't automatically get the throne anymore. They laughed again. Spider picked up an imaginary crown and placed it on his head. I demand certainty, Howler bowed. I demand control. Squirrel joined them. And I demand a detailed spiritual itinerary with numbered checkpoints. The collapsed, laugh-faded Squirrel said, You know what else I've noticed? What? We have been praying without ceasing. Spider looked surprised. I do not remember doing that. Think about it. If I spend all day thinking, something is wrong, something is missing, somebody needs to change, what am I asking my mind to show me? Howler's eyes widened. I have been a remarkably devoted practitioner. Spider laughed, apparently whining his prayer with terrible expectations. Squirrel smiled. Maybe every thought is a kind of request. Every repeated thought said, Show me this. Make this important. Let me see more of this. Spider became thoughtful. So words can be prayers. Yes, thoughts can be requests. Yes, Howler added quietly, and attention can be devotion. They sat with that. Squirrel looked toward the horizon. Then pray without ceasing doesn't have to mean repeating holy words every minute. Spider nodded. It could mean noticing what we keep asking to see. And choosing again, said Squirrel. Howler stood. I reserve the right to change my mind, Spider grinned, especially when it's going in the wrong-minded direction. Absolutely. Squirrel stood beside them. There's something wonderfully uncompromising about that. Spider raised an eyebrow. Uncompromising? Not rigid. Clear. Squirrel smiled. I don't have to bargain with fear anymore. If I forget, I choose again. Howler stretched his wings. With divine audacity? Spider laughed. Very divine. Moderately audacious. They walked toward the White House. The door was already open. Inside there was almost nothing. 3 chairs, a table, an open window, sunlight. Spider searched behind a curtain. No final instructions. Howler checked beneath the table. No certificate. Squirrel smiled. No graduation ceremony. On the table sat one blank sheet of paper. The 3 stared at it. Spider whispered, The pouch has returned for revenge. Squirrel laughed. No. He remembered that first Angelteer adventure. The pouch. The blank slip. The realization that perhaps they were supposed to listen. 32 adventures later, there was another blank page. But this time nobody tried to turn it over. Nobody searched for invisible ink. Nobody asked what it was supposed to say. They simply left it blank. Spider walked to the window. What happens now? Squirrel joined him. I don't know. Howler smiled. And apparently that is no longer an emergency. Outside, people were walking along roads in every direction. Some hurried, some wandered, some argued, some laughed, some appeared to be lost. Squirrel watched them. For a moment, there was no sense that the Angelteers had something those people lacked. No spiritual rank, no special identity, no enlightened club, no division between teachers and students. Just one shared mind, remembering and forgetting, asking and receiving, giving and receiving. Squirrel said quietly, I know who I am. Spider stepped beside him. I know what I am here to be and do. Howler joined them, and I reserve the right to change my mind whenever I forget. Spider laughed. That may be the most useful vow we've made. Squirrel looked at his friends. They had called themselves Monkey Tears, then Angelteers. Now even those names felt like costumes they had enjoyed wearing. Useful, playful, temporary, none could contain what they were. Squirrel looked once toward the bench outside. Map, lantern, book, all still there. Nothing had been thrown away, nothing condemned, nothing needed to disappear. They simply did not need to hold it. Squirrel opened his empty hands. I need do nothing. Spider opened his. I come with nothing to prove. Howler opened his enormous hands. I have no idea what to do with these. They laughed. Then they became still. Nothing needed to be achieved. Nothing needed to be added. The love they had chased through every adventure was quietly present before the first adventure had begun. Not earned, not manufactured, not found at the end of the road. Remembered. Spider looked toward Squirrel. So is this the end? Squirrel smiled. Of what? The adventures. Squirrel looked through the open window at the whole world. I'm not sure there is an elsewhere anymore. Howler grinned. Then I'll see you everywhere, all the time at the same time. Spider laughed. That makes absolutely no sense. Squirrel smiled. Only if you think we're separate. For a moment, they stood together in the sunlight. No map, no pouch, no fragrance, no lantern, no book in their hands, no special identity to defend, wholly empty hands, and a mind willing to receive. Then Spider grabbed his blue hat. Howler grabbed his red one. Squirrel lifted his golden hat. They tossed their hats high into the morning sky and cheered, one for all and all for one. Love all, for all is love. Then together they shouted, "We are the light. We are the way. We are the truth.